My cousin said I wasn't fun enough for her trip, then dumped her kids at my house while owing me $10,000. I let the police handle it. So, let me tell you what happened with my cousin, Nellie. She decided not to invite me to her bachelorette party, saying it was just for her closest friends. Yet, she had no problem asking me to babysit her kids. My parents even chimed in, saying, "You don't have anything better to do anyway." So, I decided to treat myself and booked a last-minute beach getaway. While I was lounging with a cocktail by the ocean, Nellie was blowing up my phone, waiting outside my house with her kids. It was the first time in 28 years that I stood up to Nellie, and it felt amazing. Honestly, I should have done it ages ago. Our relationship has always been one-sided, with me doing all the giving and her doing all the taking. My therapist had been saying for months that I needed to set boundaries, but I kept making excuses because, well, she's family and it's complicated. The truth is, I was scared of being seen as the bad guy in our family. Growing up, if she forgot her lunch, I'd share mine. If she had a project due, I'd be the one helping her finish it. Even if she threw a tantrum, I was the one who had to let it slide. Nothing changed as we got older. She has 2 kids now, and somehow, I turned into her go-to babysitter. She'd drop them on me last minute, thinking I had nothing else going on. Plans or not, I was expected to make it work. Over time, her constant demands wore me out, much like water wears down a stone. Every time I tried to set boundaries, she manipulated things to make me feel guilty. "We're family," she'd say. But this helping each other out thing never went both ways. When I was in the hospital with pneumonia last winter, she didn't visit. Instead, she texted me 3 days after I got out, asking if I could watch her kids so she could go to a concert. I've put up with this for years. Then she got engaged to Jason, a rich real estate guy who seemed to feed her every whim. When she called about their engagement, she spent forever talking about the proposal, the massive 3.2-carat ring, and their Bahamas wedding plans. She never once asked how I was or mentioned the promotion I told her about. I knew I'd be roped into doing a ton for her wedding, planning, dress shopping, errand running, and, of course, babysitting. I promised myself I'd be supportive, but reasonably so. After all, it was a big day for her. But then, the whole bachelorette party thing happened. I found out about it on Instagram, a group of women all excited and posting about the trip. But I wasn't included. I thought maybe she'd just forgotten to tell me, but nope. Turns out, she didn't invite me because I wasn't part of her close friends group. When I asked her about it, she said she didn't think I'd be into it and that I wouldn't fit the vibe. That hurt. We'd shared so much growing up, from summers at our grandparents' lake house to being there for each other's biggest moments. I later learned from our friend Jess that Nellie told everyone I was too stressed out and would kill the mood. Apparently, not being a party animal made me a bachelorette party buzzkill. Classic Nellie, she only acknowledges me when I'm useful to her. I tried to brush it off, but inside, something had shifted. Enough was enough. Then, 2 days before my beach getaway, Nellie called, something she only does when she needs a favor. She asked me to babysit because her sitter canceled. I almost laughed. She didn't want me at her party, but suddenly I was good enough to babysit. So, I was hanging out, just doing my own thing, when my close friend Nellie called me up. She suddenly expected me to drop everything and babysit her kids so she could go out. I let her ramble on about how much she'd appreciate it and how hard it is to find a sitter last minute. Of course, she hit me with the classic guilt trip, reminding me how much I love hanging out with the little ones. I was about to say no, but then I had an idea. Instead of answering right away, I said I'd get back to her later. She seemed relieved when she heard that and said, "Thanks, cuz. I knew I could count on you." But I didn't actually promise anything. After the call, I just sat at my kitchen table, staring blankly at the wall, feeling a mix of anger and something else. It was like standing at a crossroads. For over 30 years, I'd been saying yes to Nellie, always putting her needs first. My therapist's words echoed in my mind, "What would happen if you put yourself first even once?" That's when I thought, you know what? I deserve a break too. Why not treat myself? After hesitating for a moment, I jumped online and booked a spontaneous trip to Oceanana Beach Resort, a place I've wanted to visit for forever. The confirmation email pinged, $1,274.86 for 3 nights in a room with an ocean view, breakfast, and a spa treatment. Yeah, it was a bit of a splurge, but the feeling of freedom was totally worth it. I spent the evening packing, picking out comfy clothes and tossing in the new swimsuit I hadn't even worn yet. I grabbed my Kindle filled with books I've been meaning to read and a journal I'd never used. This weekend was going to be all about me, no responsibilities, no guilt, and definitely no Nellie. The night before Nellie's big plans, she called again. Seeing her name flash on my screen made my stomach tighten, like always. I took a deep breath before picking up. She was like, "So, we're all set for tomorrow, right?" I casually let her know, "Oh, I forgot to text you. I booked a trip for myself this weekend, so I won't be around to babysit." Silence. Then she said, "Wait, what do you mean you booked a trip? You never go anywhere." I brushed off her comment and replied, "Yeah, I figured it was time to do something fun for myself. Hope you work things out." She started sputtering, "But wait. You can't just leave. What about the kids?" I told her, "Not sure, maybe ask one of your other close friends." She gasped like I'd slapped her and accused me of being petty. I just shrugged and said, "Not trying to be, just prioritizing myself, like you did." Before she could say anything else, I told her I needed to go, turned off my notifications, packed my things, and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up early, grabbed my stuff, and headed out. I was chilling on the beach, drink in hand, listening to the waves when my phone started blowing up with missed calls, voicemails, and angry texts. First one was from Sarah, "Where are you? I'm at your house." Then from Nellie, "You said you'd help me." My mom called twice, so I finally picked up. She was like, "Nellie's outside your house with the kids. What's going on?" I took a sip of my drink and calmly explained. I told her I wouldn't be home. "I've got my own plans this weekend." My mom seemed surprised and asked, "Wait, so she expected you to babysit without even asking?" I said, "Yep." For once, my mom didn't scold me, she sounded tired of Nellie's nonsense. Now I'm just sitting by the ocean, enjoying the sunset, while my phone keeps buzzing with Nellie's endless calls and texts. She's still outside my house, losing her mind. I'm debating whether to respond, but maybe after I finish my drink. As I sat there, enjoying the view and the warm breeze, I saw my phone light up again. This time it was my dad calling, which was rare unless something was seriously wrong. I sighed, picked up, and prepared for the lecture. Dad sounded calm but tense, asking, "Where are you?" I explained, "I'm at the beach, taking a break." He sighed and said, "Nellie's crying at your place with the kids, saying you ditched them." I calmly replied, "I didn't abandon anyone. I never agreed to babysit." Dad pushed back, "You know she had plans and needed your help." Cue the usual family guilt trip. But I countered, "She uninvited me from her trip. I'm not close enough to be included but good enough to babysit for free? Nope, not this time." Dad was quiet for a moment, then said, "I get that you're upset, but family looks out for each other." I laughed, "Does Nellie look out for me? Or am I just expected to drop everything for her whenever she wants?" More silence. Then, surprisingly, Dad admitted, "Your mother and I are." So, there we were, on our way to pick up the kids, and I'm sitting up straight in my chair because I hear, "Wait, you're heading to Nellie's place?" And the reply comes, "No, we're going to your house." Nellie dropped the kids there and took off. I could feel the anger slowly building up inside me. Like, seriously? Nellie just left her kids at my doorstep, hoping someone else would take care of them. No backup plan, no alternative arrangements, nothing. I gritted my teeth and took another sip of my drink. I asked, "How long ago?" And the answer was, "About 20 minutes ago. Your mom and I are already on our way." I took a deep breath. She actually thought I'd panic and rush home to fix things like always. Not this time. "So," I said, "good. Let me know when you have them," and hung up. I tried to find some peace looking at the sea, feeling bad for the kids. They had no clue they were being used like pawns in their mom's game. I thought about calling Nellie, but I knew exactly what she'd do, play the victim, twist the story, and make me look like the bad guy for refusing to deal with the mess she left. 15 minutes later, a text from my dad said they had the kids. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Then he messaged again that they were taking the kids to their house and that Mom was fuming. Now, that's new. Mom usually smoothed things over for Nellie. Something must have really pushed her too far this time. Before I could process it all, another message popped up, this time from Nellie, acting all betrayed because I called Mom and Dad. Like I was the problem here. I rolled my eyes reading her drama-filled texts about having nowhere else to take them and calling me petty and selfish. Then she had the nerve to say, "Nellie, you're dead to me." I just stared at my phone, then locked it and set it down. No way was I letting her ruin my weekend, though I had a feeling she wasn't done yet. I ignored her messages and tried to enjoy the sunset over the ocean. But something was still gnawing at me because Nellie's not one to just let things slide. She's always been good at dodging blame and making stuff look like it's someone else's fault, and she'd probably hang on to this for years. I sighed, took another sip, and glanced at my phone, 42 unread messages. Most were from Nellie, a few from Mom. I skimmed through Mom's texts. They'd managed to get the kids, but they couldn't reach Nellie. Strange, considering she was blowing up my phone nonstop. Her texts were exactly what I expected, trying to make me feel guilty and acting like I was the one ruining everything. I was ready to ditch my phone again when a new message came through. Nellie was telling everyone how awful I was, saying no wonder I didn't have many close friends. Ouch. That was her way of turning the tables. I put the phone down again. Let her tell her side, I didn't care, or at least I tried to convince myself I didn't. An hour later, I got another message just as I was finishing dinner at the resort. Expecting more of Nellie's rants, I opened it, but this time, it was from my neighbor. They asked if I was home because someone was banging on my door. My heart sank, I knew it had to be Nellie. Sure enough, it was. Apparently, she was yelling my name, probably hoping I'd show up. I told my neighbor I was out of town and to ignore her. But then they said, she's waking up the whole street. Fantastic. This wasn't just Nellie being dramatic, she was making a scene, likely trying to force me to rush home. But I wasn't about to give in. Then, 15 minutes later, another text from my dad. Nellie had shown up at their house demanding her kids back. What a mess. Hey Dad, something's off. Nellie's acting weird, not like I thought she would. She's usually not careless with her kids, maybe a bit entitled and manipulative, sure, but she's always really calculating. If she's left them, she's trying to make a point. But now she's kind of backing down, and it doesn't feel right. My phone buzzed again. It was another message from my neighbor. They explained that Nellie had left, but some guy showed up just 5 minutes later looking for her. My stomach dropped. I asked, what guy? The neighbor said, tall, kind of rough looking. He knocked a few times, looked around, and then took off. I stared at my phone, my heart racing. Nellie didn't hang out with guys like that, she only spent time with people who could benefit her in some way. Who was this dude, and why was he asking about her? I reread Nellie's last message. She said, hope you're enjoying yourself while I'm falling apart. I thought she was just being dramatic, but now I'm not so sure. Something felt off. Nellie was known for being a bit erratic, but this seemed different. She went from mad to desperate in no time. First, she ditched her kids, then wanted them back, and then some sketchy guy showed up at my place searching for her. None of it made sense. I tried to brush it off and enjoy my weekend, but I couldn't shake the feeling. So, I did something I hadn't in forever, I called Nellie. No answer, voicemail. I ended up calling Dad. He answered fast, she just left here. I asked, what happened? He sighed and said she showed up wanting the kids back, but Mom said no until she explained why she'd left them. Nellie freaked out, yelling, crying, claiming we were all against her. I asked Dad if she said why she left them, but he said not really. She kept saying she had something to fix before it was too late. I could feel my grip tighten on the phone. What did she need to fix? I asked. Dad didn't know, and she refused to let him call the cops, saying she had it under control, which wasn't like her at all. Nellie always loved to play the victim and involve the authorities. It was late, but I had a gut feeling this night wasn't over. And I was right. Around 2 a.m., my phone woke me up buzzing. It was Mom. I answered, what's wrong? She said, Nellie's back at our house, and so is that guy. I was out of bed immediately. What? He followed her there? I asked. Mom said, yes, they're arguing outside. I told her to call the cops. Mom said Dad already did, but Nellie kept saying not to. I was already getting dressed and packing up. I'm coming home, I said and hung up before Mom could stop me. Whatever mess Nellie dragged us into, I had to see it myself. When I pulled up to our parents' house, there were police cars already there. Nellie was on the porch, crying her eyes out. I saw the guy, pacing and shouting, rough looking and clearly mad. I didn't recognize him. Nellie never dated guys like that. One of the officers stood between them, trying to calm things down. Mom hurried over to me when she saw me. I told you not to come, she said. Too late, I replied, looking at Nellie and then the guy. Who is he? I asked Mom. She shook her head. I turned to Nellie, who is that? She wouldn't look at me. Instead, the guy turned to me. Oh, you're the cousin who left her hanging, he sneered. I was taken aback. Excuse me? I shot back. Mocking me, he said, a nice weekend for myself? No time to help your own cousin? My blood went cold. I asked Nellie if she'd told him about me. She still wouldn't meet my eyes. The guy laughed and said, of course she did. Blamed you. Said it's your fault she's in this mess. My jaw clenched. What mess? I asked. The money, he said. My heart stopped. What money? I pressed. He scoffed, the $10,000 she owes me. I felt like the ground had vanished under my feet. I turned to Nellie, tell me he's lying. She finally looked up, her face pale, eyes red. She whispered, I needed it for the wedding. I couldn't believe it. She borrowed money from him? Why? She wiped her face, shaking her head. I thought I could pay it back before he came looking, she explained. The guy laughed again, yeah, well, you thought wrong. I turned to him. So you're a loan shark? I asked. I prefer businessmen, he answered. I took a sharp breath. You're right. And you think coming here and causing a scene will get your money faster? He shrugged, she wasn't answering my calls. Out of excuses. So here we are. I looked back at Nellie. Is this why you left the kids at my house? She covered her face, mumbling, So here's what went down. I didn't want everyone around if things took a turn for the worse, so I just closed my eyes. It turned out she was using me. The whole time, she was trying to talk me into watching her kids so she could handle some sketchy loan shark business on her own. When I said no, she went ahead and left anyway. She put us all in danger just because she couldn't own up to her own problems. I was done with it. After everything was said and done, the cops took the guy away. Nellie tried to apologize to our folks, but they weren't having any of it. My dad was like, Nellie, you put your kids in harm's way. You put all of us in danger. And my mom, she didn't hold back either, and you tried to pin your mistake on your cousin. Nellie kept crying, saying she didn't know what else to do. I just stood there, feeling nothing, no anger, no surprise, just exhaustion. I told her, figure it out, Nellie. She looked at me with those wide eyes, all like, you're just gonna walk away? And I was like, yeah. For the first time ever, I didn't feel the need to fix her mess. She made the bed, she could lie in it. I turned around, headed to my car, and just drove off. Nellie and I didn't talk for weeks after that. It was a weird sort of silence, but surprisingly, it wasn't unpleasant. I was sleeping better, killing it at work, and even reconnected with old friends I'd been neglecting because Nellie always needed something. My therapist noticed a change right away. She said, you're sitting differently. Your shoulders don't look like they're glued to your ears anymore. Turns out, my parents made Nellie sell some of her wedding stuff to pay off the debt. That fancy designer wedding dress? Gone, swapped for something more low-key. The 5-tier cake? Cut down to 2 layers. The big band? Replaced with a DJ. And the guest list? Slashed from 250 to just 75. The wedding ended up being at the local country club instead of the Bahamas. According to the pics my cousin Hamie showed me, it was way smaller than Nellie wanted, but still kinda nice in its own way. Nellie looked beautiful, but there was this tightness around her eyes, and her smile looked forced, like she was still stewing over what went down. I wasn't part of the bridal party, or even invited. Hamie told me Nellie had spun this story to everyone about how I bailed on her when she needed me most, making her out to be the victim and me the villain. 5 years ago, that would have crushed me. Now? I just didn't care what Nellie or her crowd thought. And honestly, I was good with that. The day of her wedding, I went hiking in Redwood State Park to see a waterfall I'd been wanting to visit for ages. Sitting on that warm rock, listening to the river, I felt nothing but peace. No guilt, no hard feelings, just the joy of being exactly where I wanted to be. The day after the wedding, my parents called. It was a bit awkward at first since they'd been enabling Nellie's antics for years, but they were trying to make an effort. My mom invited me over for Sunday dinner the next weekend. Just us, she quickly clarified. Nellie won't be there. It was a small gesture, but it meant a lot. Life moved on. Nellie and Jason are expecting their 3rd child now. We see each other at family gatherings, and things are polite but distant. She doesn't ask me to babysit or run errands anymore. Sometimes I catch her looking at me with a mix of resentment and something else, maybe respect or at least a recognition that things between us have changed for good. As for me, I'm dating someone who values my time and respects my boundaries. I've taken 3 more solo trips this year, each one a reminder of that first transformative weekend by the sea. I've learned that saying no doesn't make the sky fall. Setting boundaries doesn't make me selfish. For the first time ever, I put myself first, and I don't regret it. Not one bit. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't stood up to Nellie, if I'd just kept being her doormat. That thought gives me the shivers. That beach trip was more than a vacation, it was the start of my real life. And while the ride hasn't always been smooth, I wouldn't trade my freedom for anything. Here are the top 3 things I live by now. 1. I manage my own time. 2. I don't let guilt run my life. 3. Helping people doesn't mean losing myself in the process. These rules have changed not just my relationship with Nellie, but also how I handle everything else in life. Took me 28 years to figure this out, but better late than never, right? Thanks for sticking with me through this wild family saga. If you dig these kinds of stories, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one.